The Supreme Court declining to rule on challenges to Trump's tariffs today. We could get it Tuesday. We could get it later next week. Let's get some insight on what's next from Nathan Dean, senior U.S. policy analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. And I should say every Friday, Nathan breaks down the key events in Washington, how policy is shaping industries and companies and catalysts to look out for. I mean, Nathan, I was hoping that I'd get to listen and look this Friday, and it would be all about a breakdown of what the Supreme Court ruled. We have to wait now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had the popcorn ready in the pantry here in D.C. ready to go, and now it's going to have to wait a couple of days or even weeks or longer. You know, there's two things, though, that we're telling our clients at the moment to keep an eye out. The first one is this idea of refunds or not refunds. You know, we at Bloomberg Intelligence are giving it a 60% chance that SCOTUS finds these tariffs to be unlawful. The prediction markets even have it a little bit north of 70%. But the question is, are we going to see refunds? Now, Bloomberg News has called it refund chaos. And back on January 2nd, the Customs and Border Protection Agency actually put out an interim final rule that would actually reaffirm that these refunds would be sent via electronic transfer. So that's certainly interesting to see if these refunds are coming. The other question, though, is what does President Trump do if these tariffs are deemed unlawful? There are other things that he can do. Section 232, Section 301. These are called investigations. You should think of this as the slow way of putting tariffs. So even if President Trump were to say, look, in a week or two, I'm going to launch these investigations, we're going to try and reinstate these tariffs. Well, when you do it via an investigation, more often than not, it's against a product, not a country. So think semiconductors, not China. And also, it's done in a way that if these investigations were to come out, say, this summer, would President Trump then reinstall tariffs months before an election when tariffs are very unpopular with the American populace? We don't have the answer to that, but it's certainly something we're keeping in mind.
All right, so we're waiting until Tuesday. By the way, there are other decisions that the Supreme Court can issue, one on redistricting, I guess, importantly for you. What do we expect there?
So, you know, the redistricting thing is certainly interesting. Obviously, you know, Texas went through its redistricting. It was just reported that Virginia is going through redistricting as well. And, you know, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court does here. Now, if you look at the appeals courts that, you know, our team has looked at, you know, it sort of figures that the Supreme Court may allow this. You know, this is what happened in Texas. But the thing that we're telling clients when it comes to redistricting is, look, when you redistrict a state, for example, you're taking a district, let's just say, for example, President Trump won by 9 points, and you're diluting it to something that President Trump won by 4 points, or in the Democratic opposition as well. So as you get into the midterms, things actually may change in terms of how people vote. And if you dilute those districts, it ultimately could be a wash. And so redistricting may not actually have the impact that some think has in terms of protecting their seats.
Well, Nathan, one of the things we'll definitely get in Washington, D.C., I mean, at least I hope it's on the president's agenda, is a meeting with oil executives. What kind of meeting do you think these executives are preparing for? Is it going to be the president demanding that they spend more money to help restart Venezuelans' oil infrastructure, or is it going to be a helping hand? Will it be the carrot or the stick they get today, Nathan?
So I think you're certainly going to hear President Trump's remarks that he echoed last night on social media that he's expecting the oil industry to put in $100 billion in terms of new spending to get Venezuela's infrastructure up in place. But from the energy perspective, you know, the real question here is what type of guarantee do they get? Is it a financial guarantee, a security guarantee? Because they've played this story before. You know, our analyst Vince Piazza has a great note on the terminal saying, look, you know, the energy industry would love to be in Venezuela, but the last time they did this en masse, Venezuela nationalized assets and the industry ultimately suffered as a result of this. So I think the energy, you know, the comments that I'm looking for from the secretary and also just from the energy executives coming after this meeting tonight is what are we going to get in terms of guarantees? Because on the quick side, you know, if the energy industry were to be able to move in, you could see oil flowing in 3 to 5 years. But ultimately, on the slow side, this could take 10 to 15 years to get the operations in the country going.
Nathan, a lot going on. I think there's like 1,000 other things we could ask you, but we're going to have to leave it there. Nathan Dean of Bloomberg Intelligence, looking forward to your wrap-up.
We're not going to ask him any more questions because he's not wearing the vest. If he were wearing the fleece vest, I would give him the next 5 minutes, you know? But okay. America's dad comes on with a blazer, forget about it.
Wow, shots fired. I guess, Nathan Dean, if you're still listening, you know what to wear next time you're on the program with us. Okay.
It's a balance of power. It's an inside joke.
Okay.
It's a sound-on thing. But thank you. Thank you, Nathan.
All right, let's take a look at what's ahead for markets and economy.